I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. And in fact, we're probably going to need a lot of enlightenment this week, because the title of tonight's show is On a Collision Course. And we could find all of ourselves in one way or another on some sort of collision course this week because of the way the planets are set up. And it's not all bad news, but still, forewarned is forearmed. And that is because there are 3 planets that are in a very harsh T-cross among the fixed signs, and that includes the 2 financial fixed signs. And then there are another 5 planets in the mutable signs, which are generally pretty easy to get along with. And these 5 planets are also in a harsh T-cross. They're not getting along either. So that's 8 out of the 10 planets that are in harsh aspect to each other. And so it's no wonder that we can find ourselves on some sort of collision course this week, and why we need to be extra careful and extra patient with things. But at the same time, all is not lost, because there are other favorable things going on that we can concentrate on. One of them is that there are 3 planets that are in a trine in the water signs, and that's good. And that is because the Sun is in Scorpio today, and it is trining Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. And together they're all trining the sign of Cancer, which doesn't have any planets in it right now. So we can understand our feelings pretty well. And then there are another 3 planets in a trine in the earth signs. And that is because today the Moon and Pluto are in Capricorn, and Pluto is at the 29th degree of fate in Capricorn. It's about to leave. And they are trining Uranus at 27 degrees of Taurus, and together those 3 planets are also trining the sign of Virgo. So that's a nice trine in the practical, realistic, good problem-solving earth signs. And then there are another 3 planets in the fire signs right now, because Mars has moved out of Cancer and it is now at 1 degree of Leo. And that Mars in Leo is now trining both Venus and Mercury in Sagittarius, and together they are trining the sign of Aries as well. So you see, we have 8 planets that are sort of coming up against each other in a harsh T-cross in the water signs, then another harsh T-cross in the mutable signs. But we have 9 planets that by themselves, they're sort of doing okay, maybe on a little quieter level. But a trine in the water signs, trine in the earth signs, and a trine in the fire signs. There's only 1 planet in an air sign, and that is Jupiter in Gemini, which is retrograde. So we do have to watch out, particularly for the planets that are sort of in trouble right now. And that is so we can be very careful about the things that they can be promoting, and perhaps we could avoid some problems. Maybe we can look like we're being on a collision course this week, but there might be a way to get around it. Things are looking a little bit dire at the moment, though, and that is because the harsh T-cross in the fixed signs involves both fixed financial signs. So there's going to be trouble about money. And that is because that Mars that has just moved into Leo is a sign that rules gambling, is being squared by the Sun in Scorpio, and it's also being squared by Uranus, a malefic planet in Taurus. And Mars is another malefic planet, which is in Leo. And so when malefic planets, which can get you in trouble, come up against each other harshly, that's why you could be on a collision course, particularly about a financial matter. It could cover credit, debt, taxes, loans, insurance, inheritance, grants, anything of value. It could also cover high-priced property of some sort, or commercial property, or any kind of investment assets. Because Uranus is in Taurus, and Mars is in Leo, which rules gambling. So what this means is that somewhere, somebody has taken a very big gamble on something and they've lost. And because they've lost a gamble, it simply means that it's a bigger problem than you think. And the reason why is that they didn't just lose the gamble, they lost some of the value of their other assets, and they may have incurred more debt as well. And so, that's why this being on a collision course, one thing can lead to something else, which can lead to something else, and they can all be bad, particularly if it involves finances. So there's that going on just from the 3 planets that are harshly in a harsh T-cross, because 2 of them are malefic planets, Mars in Leo and Uranus in Taurus. And then the 5 planets in the mutable signs are doing what you might call stirring things up. And the reason why is that the 4 mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, are what you might call mild-mannered, or high thinking, or easy to get along with in one way or another. That's why they're called mutable signs. They can generally see somebody else's point of view. They may not always agree, but they're willing to listen. And these signs are having problems right now. They can be on a collision course. And the reason why is because there are 5 planets. Half of all the planets in the heavens are squaring and opposing each other in the mutable signs. And that is because Venus and Mercury are in Sagittarius. It is a mutable fire sign. And those 2 planets are being opposed by Jupiter in Gemini, which is a very good planet, and Jupiter also rules Sagittarius, but it's opposing the sign it rules, and it's retrograde. Not much help right there. Or Gemini rules short journeys and it can rule short trips or directions, and with Jupiter retrograde, people could just get their directions mixed up. Or if they're taking a short journey, it might not turn out quite the way they were hoping. And so that's too bad. So these 3 planets are opposing each other, and an opposition indicates a separation. And so Jupiter is opposing Venus, which is too bad, and Mercury. And Mercury is Gemini's own ruler, and it's opposing the sign it rules. Jupiter is Sagittarius' own ruler, and it's opposing the sign it rules. Do you see these things are backward? And so that means your plans, particularly your travel plans, could be sort of going backwards. You could be on a collision course about them in one way or another. And that is because these 3 planets are all being squared by some heavy-duty planets. Saturn and Neptune in Pisces are squaring Jupiter in Gemini, and they are squaring Venus and Mercury in Sagittarius, and they are retrograde as well as Jupiter. And so there are actually 4 retrograde planets right now, and these 3 are in harsh aspect and they're going backward. Do you see why people could be on a collision course right now? And it could be in small ways. The 2 travel signs are Gemini for short travels and Sagittarius for foreign countries, and things could go a little haywire that way, or plans could sort of be going backward instead of forward at this time. And so there is the possibility, particularly with Venus in Sagittarius being squared by Saturn in Pisces, there can be a betrayal going on. And the reason why is that any time Venus is either square or opposed by Saturn or Pluto, it's an indication of a betrayal. And so what we're seeing is the possibility that with these 5 planets in the mutable signs in harsh aspect, the possibility that somebody has got to do some urgent house cleaning, because there can be a betrayal by a hidden enemy behind the scenes. In other words, you sort of almost can't see them doing it, but they are doing it. and they're a hidden enemy behind the scenes that can really frustrate somebody else or frustrate you. And what it would do, this betrayal behind the scenes by a hidden enemy would cause a frustrating delay. See, there's all kinds of collision courses. One of them, in fact, they all involve some sort of delay. And this Venus square Saturn is an indicator, and those are 2 out of 5 planets that are all in harsh aspect to each other in the mutable signs. But betrayal by a hidden enemy behind the scenes that causes a frustrating delay. And that could affect a lot of people, just even innocent people who can be, you know, on a collision course. And so I wish I had better news, but that's the way it's looking right now. I think that we have to remember there are trines. You know, if we tried to make our lives a little simpler right now, we might be rewarded for that. If you don't try to do too much right now, you might just kind of ease along a little bit, and that might be the best you can do for right now, and that would be all right. And so try to be patient and understand that somebody has taken a gigantic gamble somewhere and lost. And gee, there's going to be a fallout about that, because that made a lot of other assets diminish, and it also created more debt. And so even at the last minute now, there could be some sort of unexpected, surprising intervention of one sort or another that could either save or stabilize a large corporation, government agency, institution, or even a whole country if it's in trouble. There may be some unexpected, surprising intervention that helps stabilize something right now, particularly if they're having financial problems, because the people that are having financial problems are having big problems, not little ones. And so there may be a sudden last-minute intervention in one way or another to help people with that. And the reason why is because a sudden surprising change is ruled by Uranus. It's at 27 degrees of Taurus, a fixed financial sign, and it's retrograde. But Pluto in Capricorn, a sign of big business, government agencies and institutions, is at the 29th degree of fate, and these two planets are trining each other. That Pluto is backing up that Uranus, which is having a real hard time right now because it's part of this harsh T-cross with Mars in Leo and opposing the Sun in Scorpio. So if you feel like you're headed for a collision course right now, either try your best to, get to the sidelines, or, take a time out or something like that. Buy yourself some time if you have to, just to withdraw a little bit if you can and sort of get out of the fray. Or if you are thinking that there is a way that, you could sort of scale down and do something a little bit smaller, or just take one step, even a baby step instead of a giant step, why don't you try that? Maybe if you tried something that was a little smaller and a little easier, that might just work. You never know. All right, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, your ruler, Mars, is in Leo right now, and it is under severe duress. But the good news is, Aries, it is trining your sun sign, and so are Venus and Mercury in Sagittarius. You have 3 planets trining your sun. That's the most you've had in a long time. And there's nothing in your sun sign. But your own ruler is trining your sign. However, it is in a lot of trouble right now, and particularly regarding financial matters. And so even if it is trining your sun, Aries, it may indicate that you too are suffering some sort of financial setback at the moment. And it could have to do with your investments or your career, or it could have something to do with funding of one sort or another, or even a tax problem. And so if I were you, I would be real careful what you do right now, Aries, because there's only 3 malefic planets, and 2 of them are in harsh aspect, and one of them is your ruler, Mars, and it is being real harshly squared by Uranus in Taurus, and Taurus is a fixed financial sign. It's right ahead of your sun sign, and it's taken heat from your own ruler, Mars in Leo. So if you are feeling like spending a lot of money right now, Aries, and you say, well, gee, I have the money, I feel like spending it, let's go do it. I wouldn't do that, Aries. Even though you have wonderful three strong planets trining your sun. But if at the same time you were saying, well, I want to do something that supports society, or I want to do something for my church, or I want to do something that involves college or a better education or something like that, that would head you in a better direction at the moment. And so if you were feeling like being wildly extravagant or taking a gamble in any way, I urge you not to do that, Aries. It's not going to work. And it could also devalue some of your other assets or create more debt. And debt is going to sink anybody who's in it right now. There won't be a way to get out of it. And so maybe people could try small steps to get out of it, but there's not going to be, the debt's growing quicker than the means to contain it. And so it's just growing. And that's why if I were you, I wouldn't go in debt. I wouldn't do anything extravagant. Instead, if you wanted to do something where you were making a plan to do something where you have a product at the end of it, or you're producing something you could sell, if you were spending money to make money, that's way different than just blowing money to have fun. And you should try to step back and be real careful with your money right now, Aries. You are somewhat aspected to lose some of it right now. And just try to keep your expenses to a minimum right now if you can. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is a time, Taurus, when I think that you're going to be challenged financially, and the reason why is the sun is in Scorpio, which does rule credit, debt, loans, taxes, all those things that cost a lot of money. And it is opposing Uranus in your own sun sign, and Uranus is a little bit weaker because it's retrograde and it's getting hit by a hard square from Mars in Leo, and as I said, it's being opposed by the sun in Scorpio. Now that Uranus in your sign does have backup. It is because Pluto in Capricorn, right at the very last minute, is at the 29th degree, and it is trining that Uranus, which is at 27 degrees today and retrograde. And so there may be some surprising, unexpected intervention that sort of saves your bacon, Taurus, in one way or another. I would call it a flash in the pan, though, no matter how good it looks. And it won't solve the underlying problem that you are going to have to pull back a little bit, because the value of your investments could be falling, or your own debt can be increasing right now. Maybe it's just something that you were committed to, and you're paying and paying and paying on it, and you can't get out of it. Well, that can hurt. And debt will sink anybody right now, Taurus. And Pluto is going to, by the middle of this month, it is going to move into Aquarius, where it will begin to square your sun for many, many years to come. And you are not used to that. People who are strong in earth signs, whether it's their sun sign or any other planet that they have in an earth sign, they have grown used to almost this whole century having Pluto in Capricorn. And it's not going to happen anymore. I mean, it'll go retrograde at different times, but it's really going into Aquarius, and it will be squaring your sun, and for years. And remember, the ruler of Aquarius is Uranus, which is in your own sun sign, and it's going to be in your sun sign for another year. So Pluto will go into Aquarius in 2 weeks, and it will square its own ruler. It's been trining it. It's been trining Uranus. Pluto has been trining Uranus for 17 or 20 years. Or no, Uranus was only in your sign for 6 years. It'll be in there 1 more year. For the last 6 years, they must have been pretty good for you, Taurus, because Pluto was always trining that Uranus. And you're just gonna wake up one morning and say, uh-oh, what happened? And it is that Pluto's going to be squaring it now. So if I were you, I would put money away. I wouldn't be spending a dime extra right now. You are somewhat aspected to lose a gamble, even one that you can afford. You are somewhat aspected to lose it. And so you have to be real careful. And try to keep your hands in your pocket right now, Taurus. These are uncertain financial times, and yours is a financial sign, so you're vulnerable. And that's why I wouldn't spend any extra money right now on anything. The show is called On a Collision Course, and do not invite disaster, Taurus. It'll find you if you do, so try not to do that. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, it's wonderful that you do have Jupiter in your sign, because it's the only planet in an air sign right now. It's retrograde or a little weaker, and it is being harshly aspected right now because your sign is a mutable sign. And that means that that your own ruler, Mercury, along with Venus in Sagittarius, are opposing your Sun and Jupiter in your sign. That's too bad. So you could be, Gemini, right now, you could sort of be getting your wires crossed about something. And, you know, it would be that you may have had a plan or an idea that was well thought out, and you're sort of ready to go on it, and something else has changed. And so it sort of throws you off a little bit right now. You could feel as if you're a little bit thrown off in one way or another. Now that too shall pass. And in less than 2 weeks, Pluto will come into Aquarius and immediately begin to trine that Jupiter in your sign. So even if it's retrograde, it's sure going to get a big boost as soon as Pluto starts trining it. And Pluto's a very slow planet. At first you won't notice that you've got the backup of somebody pretty important around, but you do, Gemini, or you will have, and that is very close. That's sometime this month. You're going to have the backing of somebody pretty important. And you know, we have our Thanksgiving holidays, and you know, people travel, and you know, things are not all just going along according to the regular plans. So there could be some sort of frustrating delay, but not for long for you. And so if I were you, I wouldn't make a big drastic decision right now. I wouldn't take a big turn of any kind, Gemini. Saturn and Neptune and Pisces are squaring your Sun. You could be susceptible to a betrayal from a hidden enemy behind the scenes that will set up some sort of frustrating delay that could throw your plans off. And I think as long, Geminis are very adaptable. And if you have to undergo a frustrating delay from a hidden enemy behind the scenes, which you may have to do, if I were you, I would fill my time agreeably, maybe doing some other chores that you know have to get done. So in other words, make your time count while you're going through a frustrating delay. Okay? So instead of you just sitting there getting mad that you're going through a frustrating delay, make your time count somewhere else. The Geminis are good at that. They can turn on a dime and go in a different direction and be perfectly productive. Your sign rules versatility. And so you should do that, because you're not in control of the frustrating delay, and on top of that, a hidden enemy is doing that. And I would say if you were on a quest to find out who the hidden enemy was, Gemini, you'd have to dig pretty deeply in the dirt. And I would advise you not to waste your time. Make your time count on your behalf. And then that way you can be proud of what you're doing for yourself. And then the frustrating delay will get over. So just keep that in mind. If you have to go down to the level of whoever is creating problems right now, you'd be selling yourself out. And don't ever do that. Nothing's worth it. Just make your time count on your own behalf somewhere else for a while. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, there are planets, 3 of them, in the water signs that are all trining each other. And your sign too, because you don't have any planets in your sign. Mars has moved out of your sign and into Leo. But the Sun is in Scorpio, trining your Sun, and so are Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. They're both retrograde, but they too are trining your Sun. Oddly enough, Cancer, you may know who the hidden enemy is behind the scenes that can be creating a frustrating delay for someone else that may feel as if they're on some sort of collision course right now. And I would advise everybody try not to collide right now. The aspects, I think, among 8 planets, okay, that's 80% of all the planets, are very harsh. Because 3 are in a harsh T-cross, 5 are in another harsh T-cross. Gee whiz, the odds of disaster are pretty high right now. I wouldn't take chances on stuff like that. Try instead, Cancer, even if you know who's doing something behind the scenes, try to mind your own business now and keep it to yourself. Cancers can sort of feel what's going on. Your sign does rule feelings, and you understand other people's emotions and your own as well. So you could understand where other people are coming from, even if they're not saying a word to you. But if I were you, Cancer, I would sit home and you could be planning for a move, one that was long delayed, but you could sort of get yourself together and do that. And if the move isn't happening at the moment, you could still be lining it up. And that way it would make it much easier once you do decide to do it. And so that would keep you occupied because your sign does have support, particularly from the Sun in Scorpio, meaning that there could be some more money coming your way, Cancer. It might not be big money, but it could be some money. And that would certainly help you. If I were you, I wouldn't tell anybody about that, though, because you might get a few people sort of knocking on your door wanting a loan. So I'd keep, if you have extra money coming, keep it real quiet right now, Cancer, and just sock it away. That's what's best. The financial times are tenuous right now, particularly with 2 malefic planets, Uranus in Taurus and Mars in Leo, squaring each other. This is not a good time to gamble or throw your money around at all. Just hang on to it if you can. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time, Leo, when you may be supercharged because Mars is in your sign. It's only at 1 degree. It's going to be there for a while. And so it is trining the sign it rules, one of the signs it rules. It rules Scorpio, which it's squaring, and it rules Aries, which it's trining. And so, Leo, this puts you in the enviable position of being able to take the high road or the low road. Which do you want to take, Leo? I'd go for the high road if you can get it, Leo. And the reason why is that there are too many planets in harsh aspect. And yes, there are 3 trining each other in the water signs, another 3 in the earth signs, another 3 in the fire signs. So you could say, oh, but I have a lot of backup. You have some good backup. That's true, because Venus and Mercury in Sagittarius are trining your sun. But you've got the sun itself in Scorpio squaring your sun, and you have Uranus in Taurus also squaring your sun, and by the middle of the month you'll have Pluto in Aquarius opposing your sun. Believe it or not, Leo, you're in for a rough month. And so, you know, you got to make the best of it if you can. And I would say that even though there haven't been a lot of planets and fire signs for quite a while now, and there are now, there's 3 of them. So you may feel as if you really want to sort of get up and get going, and you can be full of energy. But you don't have to believe me on this, Leo, but it's looking to me like people have far more worries than they are talking about. And so they're carrying a lot of trouble on their shoulders, or they're worried about something in their minds. And just because they aren't saying it, or just because they smile at somebody, it doesn't mean they're awful worried about something. And there are too many people that are like that, worried right now. And they could be worried about their job, they could be worried about their family, they could be worried about their high taxes, they could be worried about something happening in their neighborhood. But there's too many planets in harsh aspect, and the harsh aspects are not offset by the planets that are in trine to each other. The planets that are in trine to each other are helping each other. They're not the overall cure for everything else. And so this is a time when I think that you just try to put your energy to some constructive use that you do rather quietly on your own behalf. Okay, if you have a hard job to do, then just quietly do it. Go ahead, wear yourself out, Leo. If there is a challenge that you're facing, maybe you want to get a better education, maybe you want to do some long distance traveling, maybe you want to serve a good cause of some sort, and it will take a commitment in order to do that. You could do all of those things, but if I were you, I would do them real quietly, because Leos like to have the spotlight on them, because they like to be the leader, and they're willing to take charge and do that. But at the same time, Leo, it's important for you to remember that the minute that you step in to the spotlight, and and you're expecting the applause, you're also making yourself a target. And I said, people are worried now. Well, not everybody is, some people can be worried a little bit, and other people can be worried a lot. And if there are people that are mentally unstable, this is a time when if you made yourself a target, might be helping them do what they're thinking of anyway, and that would be a bad deal for you. You would not come out of that very well. Mars rules war. It's in your sign. Well, Mars rules aggression. You could feel aggressive. If I were you, I'd cool it. And I wouldn't, if you want to ask for a fight, you would really get one right now, Leo. And I advise you to stay out of it. So anyway, you can do what you want, but the show is called On a Collision Course, and with Mars in your sign, you might be one of the people that's on that collision course. And if you ask for it, you probably will get it. And I'm urging you to step back a little bit and quietly work on your own behalf. But the emphasis is on the quiet part of it. Don't make yourself a target. This is not the right time for that. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is a time, Virgo, one of the last times when you can be really looking at your bank book, or you can really be looking at your 401k plan, or you can be looking at your assets or property that you own and trying to sort of add things up and see what things are worth, and also how much things are costing you. Because it's real nice to own nice things, but generally there's expensive upkeep on them, and there's generally insurance on them, and there's generally taxes on them. Do you see? The costs just keep piling up. And so you could be on a collision course right now, Virgo, and it has something to do with either your health or your finances. And it seems to me at this time that you can be in a position where if you realigned your assets, or you decided that you were going to cut some expenses here, and that might give you a little more leeway somewhere else where you need just a little bit more money to cover something, shift things around a little bit, you could do that, Virgo, because Uranus in Taurus is trining your sun, and so is Pluto in Capricorn for just about the last time in a long time. And so if I were you, I'd look over your career, your retirement plans for sure. Make sure everything is sort of nailed down real carefully. And Capricorn is a conservative sign. And it would pay you to be conservative in your financial investments right now. And if you are not being conservative in them, and in fact, if you've taken a gamble with anything, you would have lost by now. Or the value on something would be reduced. And that would not be a good idea. And so I think, Virgo, with Uranus in Taurus and Pluto in Capricorn still trining your sun, that you should try to just go over all your books and all your paperwork and all of your tax records and things like that, and make sure that everything really adds up just perfectly. Your sign, perfection is something Virgos aim for. It's not always attainable, but they aim for it, and then they usually end up at the level of excellence anyway. And this is when you need to sit down and do your own paperwork. Check your bank records, check your investment accounts, check what your employer is doing. If you're dependent on a paycheck, you better see what kind of shape your employer's in. So anyway, think about all that, Virgo, because you could do a pretty good job of that right now, and it seems to me like it's a very good time for you to do that. And that way you'll just sleep better at night. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra. This is a time, Libra, when I think that you can sort of wonder how things got so quiet. In other words, you had a solar eclipse in your sign. You probably have had a pretty good birthday. There have been strong planets in the air signs, and now there's only one. And it is Jupiter, which is retrograde in Gemini, but it is trining your sun, Libra. And so that's good, meaning that if you were anticipating some smaller change or some short trip, and if there was some sort of delay in it, that may not bother you too much, because then you could just reschedule for a later time. It could still work out. Jupiter is going to be trining your sun until next summer. It's just that it's retrograde right now, and it's under some harsh aspects too. So you might experience a delay in some of your travel plans or in some short-term project that you had been contemplating. Maybe you had been saying, well, this fall, for sure you're going to get a certain thing done. Well, you might have to move your timeline out a little bit, Libra. There could be changes, and they could be just due to the weather or due to other people's plans. There could be a frustrating delay, but try to make your time count, Libra, because by the middle of this month, Pluto will move into Aquarius and begin to trine your sun for years. And you're going to feel that, just like Gemini is going to feel that. And so is Aquarius, of course, because it means that more powerful people will be coming into your circle of friends, Libra. And by powerful, what I mean is that either they used to be in positions of power, and perhaps they're retired now, or they still are in positions of power, and they're looking for, say, new talent, and you could be very appealing to them. Or it could be, Libra, that you have thought of making a new beginning in one way or another. And recently you may have, in the last few months, you may have met somebody that's pretty interesting to you, and you may be deciding to try to form a better friendship with them that has to do with a project or a goal of yours. And that would work out quite well. And in fact, that would work out that if you were saying, you know, this is a good person, I don't know them, but I want to get to know them better, and you follow through on that, you're going to be surprised at what comes from that. That will be very good for you. And the connections they have will be very good for you too. You know, they say one thing leads to another, but there are times when you can find just the right person for something, and then it's like a whole lot of things open up. And it's because you found the right person first. And they're the catalysts. They're the ones that make everything else count or make everything else work. And so it begins with just one step, is what I'm saying, Libra. And this is a good time for you to go out. I think you've already met somebody that you wish you knew better. And if I were you, I would follow up on that. And you know, just take them to coffee. Or, you know, just say, you want to go for a walk? Just anything. All you want to do is get to know them better. And there would be a reason for that. And it would probably, you would be surprised at what comes out of that. Just one person at a time. So I hope if somebody has been sort of crossing your mind and you keep thinking about them, do something besides think about it, Libra. Go and make contact and talk to them some more. It's in connection with something you want to do anyway. So they can be the right connection. And you have to make them in order to get ahead. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time, Scorpio, when, you know, a long-range project that you've had on the back burner for a long time, like a dream or a wish or a hope of yours, that's been around so long that that you're sort of used to saying, oh, I'll get to that someday. And you've just about missed the boat, Scorpio. It's going to sail without you. And the reason why is that you have the sun in your sign. Well, that's wonderful. It makes you look real good right now, Scorpio. And you can be full of sort of a sunny disposition because the sun's in your sign. But at the same time, Saturn and Neptune, which are both retrograde in Pisces, are trining your sun. And there isn't anything in Cancer anymore. So these are the only two planets trining your sun and the sun in Scorpio right now. And since they're both retrograde, and Saturn represents time, and Neptune represents wishes, hopes, and dreams, and they're retrograde, it means that somewhere in the background of your life, Scorpio, there is an unfulfilled wish or hope or dream. And you could have been, you know, Neptune's been there for 12 years, trining your sun, and Saturn's been trining your sun for about 1.5 years. It's going to stay that way for about another year, but Neptune's going to move on. And you see, it's the only time in 146 years it was actually in its own sign. And when a planet is at home in the sign they rule, they're just twice as strong. And so you could have, in your busy schedule and all the other things that Scorpios do, you may have always said, well, I'll get to that later. And later is what Saturn rules, because it rules time. And so you are, if you're not out of time, Scorpio, you're so close to it that you may be missing the boat, missing the mark, missing your dream, and you could think of getting back to it later, but it won't be there later. And maybe you were just taking it for granted it would always be there. But these planets are retrograde. They're going backwards. Well, planets always turn around and go back forward again. They are going to do that and head on out. And then it'll be too late. So I just thought I'd let you know, Scorpio, that while you have these good planets trining your sun sign, you might want to think a little bit more about when someday is going to come in your life. Because if it isn't real close, it's you that's going to miss it. Not somebody else. Because they'll just move on. It's because everything moves on. Every morning the sun rises in a different place. Every night the moon comes out in a different position. Everything moves on. So for you to make the huge assumption that something was going to wait for you forever to whenever you felt like getting around to it, it's you that was kidding yourself, Scorpio. And if it's not going to happen, it just isn't, and you'll have to face it. And that's the way it'll be. Your collision course. But you might have made the collision simply by ignoring or taking for granted something you thought would always be there. But everything grows and changes. So just keep that in mind, Scorpio. And try to do your best. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, you have two good planets in your sign, and they are Venus and Mercury, and Mercury is the planet of the mind. Sagittarians can be full of ideas right now, all of them good. So Sagittarius, you might be thinking of sort of making yourself look better, because Venus is the planet that rules beauty and art, and it rules culture, and your sign rules travel. You may be thinking of going to a foreign country, and that would be wonderful. I'm sure that you could do that in a way that you would, afford. And the reason why is that there are the two planets in your sign, but they are being trined by a third planet in a fire sign, which is Mars in Leo. And so Leo's rules gambling, but it rules getting up and getting going. It has a lot of energy. It rules sports, and it rules love affairs and children. It doesn't rule marriage, but it does rule having a lot of fun. And so you could have that on your mind right now, Sagittarius. And I would say that the only thing that would stop you from having fun right now is those little daily things that you simply have to do. And the reason why is that your own ruler, Jupiter, is in Gemini, which rules our daily habits. And it is opposing Venus and Mercury in your sign, and Mercury rules Gemini. The two rulers are opposing the signs they rule. So you might get your plans a little bit backward right now, Sagittarius, or somebody else could. And so you need to check everything twice. This is a very good time to make sure that all of your communications are clearly written down, and maybe in duplicate, so everybody gets the same message. That way there can be no confusion or mix-up on anything. But otherwise, since you have backup from Mars in Leo, you may feel as if you sort of want to take charge of a project, or you want to take the lead on some team effort. Well, that would be fine. Sagittarius is a restless sign because it's a fire sign, and fire signs all like action. And generally, a Sagittarius expresses that by being very intellectually active, knowing what's going on in a lot of different places in the world, and thinking about big legal issues. International law is ruled by your sign. So this is a time when you can have a lot on your mind, but you can also be wanting to sort of improve your looks or go to some cultural event and have a little nicer lifestyle. in one way or another. You may meet somebody who's very dynamic, that wants to do that too, or maybe you're just in the mood to sort of step out or do some traveling right now. Or if you are interested in intellectual pursuits, such as going to college and working on a degree or getting an advanced degree, this is a very good time for you to find out, what are the rules and regulations and how much is everything going to cost, because you may be able to do that. And so I think this is a good time for you to investigate whatever it is you're interested in right now, Sagittarius. Get all the facts and write them down and then think about them a little bit. Because there's more planets, 3 of them in fire signs, trining each other than there have been in a long time. And that'll benefit all the fire signs. It's just don't spend a lot of money right now. Just, you can plan it, but don't spend it. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time, Capricorn, when I think that you are feeling as if you are on the last leg of something. And it could be that if you were in school, you could be completing a course or about to graduate. Or if you were pursuing some sort of a goal or a project that you've been working on for a long time, you could feel as if you're sort of getting to the end of it or the finishing part of it. And that is because Pluto is at the 29th degree of fate in your sign, and Pluto's finished. It's going to leave your sign. And so by the middle of this month, it will be in Aquarius. And so this is a time, Capricorn, when you're just about able to sort of take the load off of some burden that that has been weighing you down for quite a while. Maybe all of this year, maybe last year too. And you're going to be able, that burden is going to be able to lift pretty soon, Capricorn. It's almost as if you had been either very worried or sick about something, and no matter what you did that was right, it didn't affect a fast recovery, or it didn't affect a fast result of one sort or another. And that's just got to be okay with you, Capricorn, because your sign is ruled by Saturn. You know for sure that the way to success for you is to take just one step at a time. And because you are lucky enough to, possibly live to be 100, you got the time. So I wouldn't worry or become impatient about anything. You have Venus and Mercury in Sagittarius right behind your sun sign right now. And Sagittarius rules international law. It rules the courts. And it rules the whole judicial system. And generally, the Capricorns don't mind reading the fine print and actually discovering what the legal terms or the legal facts are about something. They're pretty thorough in their book work. And that is because your sign rules administration. And Capricorns don't like to skip steps. They like to take every single step and do it exactly right. And so Capricorns are rather sure-footed. You can't knock a Capricorn down. That's not going to happen. Anybody who tries, they learn that the hard way. You're not going to knock a Capricorn down. And so this is a time when you may have been frustrated by things not happening, the way they were supposed to, or when they were supposed to, or something was in someone else's hands and they didn't know what they were doing. Do you know what I mean? There's a million reasons why you could be on a collision course, is what I'm saying. But at the same time, I don't think you are on one. Not one of your own making. Maybe somebody else is giving you a hard time, but I don't think you're making a problem for yourself. It's just that you can be tired of problems. And I would say that you are extremely lucky that there are 2 new moons in your sign this year. The first one was the first new moon in January. That was the new moon in Capricorn. And the second one that's in your sign, Capricorn, is on December 30th this year. What I'm saying is don't lose hope, don't lose faith. Keep on going, one step at a time, because you're going to get good news. Even if it comes right at the end of the year, you're going to get good news. And 2 new moons in 1 year, wow, you're very lucky. So you have to look at the glass is half full, not half empty. Another way of saying that is count your blessings, because you have them. Don't take them for granted. Appreciate what you have, and don't worry about what you don't have. In a mysterious way, life turns out the way it should. It has its ups and downs, but they say, God never gives you anything that you can't handle. And I think that must be true, because the human race is still here. and the human race has had a lot of problems. But I guess we handled them, or we wouldn't still be here. And the same is true of every Capricorn. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this is a time, Aquarius, when I think that you can feel as if, not as if you're on a collision course, but as if you are almost ready to step forward on something that is made just for you. It's just right for you, Aquarius. You'd be 100% right about that. And the reason why you're not quite there where you can do it is because you just have to wait a little bit longer, very little bit longer, until Pluto goes into your sign, which will be by the middle of this month. And you are going to I think you're just going to wake up one morning and feel differently. Like, oh, I know what I'm doing. Sometimes we wake up in the morning, we don't know what we're doing. We just do it, but we don't know what we're doing. But I think your plans are going to crystallize and form, even if it's very, very slowly, which I think it will be slowly, particularly over the winter and the spring. Your plans will crystallize. They'll begin to take shape. They'll begin to multiply and grow more and broaden for years to come, Aquarius. You're closer to that path that you're just about ready to step on. It's not just a path. It's where the road will keep getting wider and wider and wider. It must be that you're going to add more people to it. So you're about to start something, and if you say, oh no, I'm not thinking of anything like that, well, okay, Aquarius, you have no idea what could just fall into your lap. It happens all the time, Aquarius, particularly to an Aquarian. Aquarius rules sudden change, sudden surprising change. And so in 2025, I think it's on July 7th, Uranus goes into Gemini and begins to trine your sun, where you'll have Pluto. And nothing's going to stop you then, Aquarius. You're going to have a great summer. And it's almost, there will be something next summer that occurs for you, Aquarius, and it will never end. It'll last as long as you do. I'm not saying that everything in your life is never going to end, but there will be something by next summer that comes into your life, or you're involved with in some way, or it's a person or a thing you're doing, and it'll be with you for the rest of your life. Lucky you. If you get the opportunity of a lifetime next summer, Aquarius, take it. You will not regret it, and you'll never look back. So good luck. And for right now, if you think you're on a collision course, which you may be financially because Mars in Leo is opposing your sun, somebody wants to have a little fight with you about money or control. That could be about control because it's in Leo, and Leos like to control people. And so that could cause you, a little worry there, Aquarius. And then the sun in Scorpio is squaring your sun, and Uranus, your own ruler in Taurus, is squaring your sun. You should be used to that by now because it's been doing it for 6 years. And so you really have to keep your hands in your pocket and don't spend money right now, Aquarius. You're going to have to live through a challenging time. And if I were you, I would not react to somebody who's coming along with sort of a hot poker and wants to poke it in you. Don't let them. Well, how could you prevent them? Just don't be there. Okay? Somebody knocks on your door and you know who it is and you know you don't like them already, don't answer the door. Or if somebody's around and they just bother you, well then stay away. You can build defenses of your own, Aquarius. You don't have to walk into every battle that's coming your way. You could find a way around it if you want to. Air signs are very creative, particularly mentally. And Jupiter's trining your sun all year. So good luck, Aquarius. And have a great summer next summer. You're going to. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time, Pisces, when I think that if you don't know who this person is, you may be tempted to be or to do something with them. And it's because Saturn and Neptune are in your sign, which is a beautiful sign. And so they are being squared by Mercury and by Venus in Sagittarius, and they're being squared by Jupiter in Gemini. And they're both retrograde, or a little bit weaker, because they're going backward. And so, Pisces, if you had a precious dream in your heart, there are other people that sort of don't want you to realize it. They'll do just about anything right now to make sure that doesn't happen. So they would offer you something that would tempt you a whole lot. Well, you're going to have to say no, Pisces. No. Or make a great excuse and just get out of there. Because there are going to be other people that want to, and they could be like hidden enemies, only I think because you are a Pisces, and Pisces are pretty good at knowing what's going on behind the scenes, because your house rules the 12th house of hidden things, you would know who the people are that would want to dig up some dirt, or would want to pull strings, or even do something like blackmail you, if they thought they could get away with it. And Pisces, you got to run the other way, not out of cowardice, but run the other way, because these people are sick. If you stick around them, you're going to get sick. That's not good. It's not good for you now, and it would be even worse for you in the future. So you really have to discipline yourself. The sun is in Scorpio. Scorpio rules discipline. It's trining your sun. You have to discipline yourself to make sure that your enemies stay away. Or let's just say you stay away from them. Okay, if you're going to have to run the other direction, then do it. Or if you have to make up excuses why you can't be with them, fine. I mean, your own happiness is worth it, don't you think, Pisces? And what about the happiness of people that love you? So you have to make sure that there is nobody around that can knife you in the back or tempt you with something that will get you in trouble, or they could try to bring up old information and sort of make it stick right now to intimidate you or control you. Okay. Well, Pisces, it's pretty lucky that your sign rules escape. And this is one time, if you're on a collision course or other people are coming at you and wanting to create a collision, you're the one that's got to escape from all that. Just get out of town, Pisces. Or just say no. Or if it's happening at work, call in sick. Make any excuse you want, but get out of there. And stay away from them. There are people that are on a collision course right now. And if they start to come after you, Pisces, I would suggest you run. And you escape. And Pisces is very good at disappearing when they want to be. Sort of funny, they never tell people that. That's the secret of a Pisces. If they want to disappear, they're pretty good at that. They can do it. And this is one time when I think you're going to have to. So that's good. Survival of the fittest. And so the most important thing that has to survive for you, Pisces, is the love you have for yourself and the love you have for those who love you. Don't let anything hurt that, because it'll hurt you. So be careful. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. If we're on a collision course, we're going to have to sort of lay low this week and try to divert ourselves away from people who are hidden enemies that can cause frustrating delays. But remember, a delay is not forever, but it can be frustrating, but it's not forever. So just have patience, and in the meantime, thank you so much for the new subscribers, and I hope you tell your friends about my Karen Campbell YouTube channel and the show, which is called STARBORN. Until then, I'll see you next week. Bye.